Coming up today, South Korea's defense minister is in Seongju to meet with residents unhappy with the THAAD missile defense system, which will be coming to their neck of the woods in the near future. We knew it was sizzling hot, but now it's official. This August has been Seoul's hottest month in over a century. More than a dozen people have died of heat-related illnesses this summer. First, we take a look at the action on day 11 of the 2016 Olympics in Rio. There's more heartbreak for Team Korea as the women's volleyball team crashes out in the quarterfinals. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Wednesday, the 17th of August. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. I'm Mark Broom. We are going to start with the scorching heat wave, which continues to have Korea in its grips. We now know officially that Seoul has seen its hottest month so far on record. The nation's weather agency says the average temperature in the Korean capital from August 1st to the 15th was 29.7 degrees Celsius. That's the highest since Korea began keeping related records in 1907. The record-breaking heat wave has caused the deaths of 16 people nationwide from heat-related illnesses. That number 2 is the highest since Korea started tracking heat-related deaths in 2011. The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which reported the figure Wednesday, said the deaths were caused by heat stroke, heat edema and heat cramps. Jeollanam-do Province and Gyeongsang-buk-do Province had the highest number of deaths. Authorities advise people to stay hydrated and stay indoors as much as possible. The deadly heat wave is expected to last until at least the end of this week. Now, there's been yet another high-profile defection from North Korea. A diplomat at the North Korean embassy in London has reportedly fled to a third country with his family. The official had been responsible for promoting North Korea's image in the UK. If confirmed, the defection would be another major embarrassment for Pyongyang. Connie Kim with the details.
Tae Yong-ho has been identified as a North Korean diplomat seeking asylum in a third country. The BBC reported Tuesday that Tae disappeared from his home in West London a few weeks ago. The North Korean diplomat, who had lived in the UK for 10 years with his family, was in charge of promoting North Korea's image to the British people. He's known to have argued in a speech that the British had been brainwashed and they would have second thoughts about North Korea if they knew there was a country of free education, housing, and medical care. His comments are known to have caused the audience to break out laughing. Citing a North Korea expert, the BBC reports the official's defection, if confirmed, would be highly embarrassing for Pyongyang. Seoul's Unification Ministry says it cannot confirm the diplomat's defection. Defections by North Koreans living abroad have come under the spotlight with the mass defection in April of North Korean restaurant workers in China. South Korea's National Intelligence Service said Tuesday that it has released 12 female defectors after a months-long probe. Investigations are still ongoing into the remaining male North Korean manager. Seoul's Unification Ministry has confirmed the information but did not elaborate on their identities or whereabouts due to safety concerns. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Now, South Korea's defense chief is in Seongju to listen to the concerns of residents in the area. In the coming weeks, the powerful U.S. missile defense system known as THAAD will be deployed to their county, and lots of people there are very upset. Kim Hyun-bin reports.
South Korean Defense Minister Han Min-gu is scheduled to visit Seongju County, the designated location for the THAAD missile defense system, on Wednesday. Seongju residents are deeply opposed to the government's decision to station the THAAD battery in their county, as they believe there are potential health risks from the system's powerful X-band radar.
Minister Han will visit Seongju on August 17th at 2 p.m. to hold talks with the local residents. The purpose is to listen to the residents' point of view, and if possible, the minister will give a briefing on why Seongju is the most suitable location for THAAD.
This will be Han's second visit to Seongju, some 300 kilometers southeast of Seoul, after Seoul and Washington announced the deployment in July. That month, The defense minister visited Seongju with Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-an, but they were met by local protesters who were unwilling to hold talks. China has also condemned the deployment, claiming the THAAD radar could seriously harm its national security interests. South Korea and the U.S. have repeatedly said the THAAD deployment is purely defensive in nature, and the system will only be used to counter North Korea's growing missile threats. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Now, the nation's top office, President Park Geun-hye has invited local government heads for lunch at Cheongwa-dae to discuss ways to enhance synergy between the central and provincial governments. The local government heads will share their ideas on how to build up their regions by promoting targeted tourism programs based on their area's characteristics and creativity. This is the second such meeting of the year. Back in February, President Park used the occasion to call for national unity against North Korean threats. The president is again expected to call for their cooperation, as she stressed the regions as a whole share a common destiny. The number of people working within Korea's 10 biggest business groups dropped by around 4,700 in the first 6 months of this year. According to conglomerate tracker chaebol.com, the total number of workers came to over 641,000 as of the end of June. That is down 0.7% from the turn of the year. By industry, layoffs were most pronounced in the shipbuilding sector, which has been at the centre of the government's corporate restructuring drive, with over 3,200 workers losing their jobs at Korea's top 3 shipbuilders. By group, Samsung Group saw a 3.2% decline in its workforce due to layoffs in its shipbuilding arm and due to the sell-off of its chemical division. Hyundai Motor Group and SK Group both saw their workforce rise 1% over the same period. The prospects for positive growth in Korea's export market are fading as the global economy has yet to pick up a head of steam, and that includes China, which is Korea's largest trading partner by far. Analysts say Seoul may need to review its strategy going forward. Kim Min-ji reports.
Korea's exports have fallen every month for over a year and a half now, and there had been hopes of a recovery in the second half of the year. But with the slow growth in the global economy, especially China, the prospects for a turnaround are dimming.
China accounts for about a quarter of Korea's exports, which is an important factor determining whether Korea's outbound shipments can improve. Exports to China have fallen sharply, so it depends on how much it can pick up.
According to the Korea International Trade Association, Korea's exports to China came to $10.1 billion in July, down 9.4% from a year ago. That extends the country's downward streak for a record 13 straight months. However, in a glint of light, the pace of decline did slow from the previous month. Imports shrank over 8% to just over $7 billion during the same period, resulting in a trade surplus of about $3.1 billion. Exports of key items such as semiconductors and flat panel displays led the decline in outbound shipments. Semiconductors, Korea's #1 export item to China, fell over 14% from the same period last year, while display panels fell more than 19%. But petroleum products spiked 35%, while auto parts also jumped nearly 13%.
Until now, growth has been centered around the exports of intermediary goods, but Korea now needs to focus on consumer goods and ramp up investment in areas it is good at, such as food products, cosmetics, and cultural content, and open new markets.
Another option for Korea is to diversify its export partners and reduce its dependence on China. One country where analysts see potential is Vietnam, which has risen as Korea's third-largest export partner thanks to a free trade deal that took effect last year, and as it is a production base for many companies. However, experts say that at the end of the day, for a tangible recovery, it's all down to how soon the global economy picks up steam, which will in turn drive up the demand for exports. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, in the U.S. state of Louisiana, unprecedented flooding has killed at least 11 people and damaged some 40,000 homes. Lee Min-young has more.
Search and rescue work is continuing in earnest after days of torrential rain that broke records and caused historic flooding in the U.S. More than 20 inches of rain poured down on parts of Louisiana over the weekend, prompting President Barack Obama to declare a major disaster in the state, and forecasters say that more is yet to come.
I had this much before it got on my carport. 30 minutes later, it was coming across. 30 minutes after that, it's in my house.
I've been living in this area since the mid-'80s, and I've never, ever seen a water like this. It's just unreal.
Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards told reporters during a Tuesday afternoon news conference that the deadly flooding has devastated at least 40,000 homes, and a reported 60,000 people have signed up for disaster assistance. The state imposed curfews on Tuesday night in more than a dozen cities and parishes that were severely damaged by the flooding, and another 8 parishes were added to the state's federal disaster zone, pushing the number up to 20. More than 30,000 people have been rescued across the state.
I want everyone to understand that we are still very much in an emergency search and rescue response mode for much of the Florida parishes. Saving life is the most important priority that we have. We're going to dedicate every available resource to that effort until it's no longer required.
The rain-swollen rivers are receding, but authorities say the state is not out of danger yet. National forecasters say water levels in some communities in southern Louisiana could peak later in the week. Lee Min-young, Arirang News.
Now let's catch up with the highlights from day 11 of the Rio Olympics. And Tuesday was another disappointing day for Team Korea as the women's volleyball team got knocked out by the Netherlands in the round of 16. More broadly speaking, some of the biggest names in the Olympics breezed to easy victories. We have our Ian Shin with us, as we have been for the duration of the Olympics. And Shin, after a good start, Team Korea has really struggled over the past couple of days.
I would agree with you there, Mark. Granted, this year's Olympics have gotten much stronger with so many stronger competitors. There's no denying the lingering sense of disappointment over the recent performances in Rio. It seems the nation's women's volleyball team has been on a bad spell as Korea has not won a medal in sports since winning the bronze at 1976 Olympics. On Tuesday, the team got swept aside quite easily by the Netherlands, 3-1 in the quarterfinal. When the Dutch team was leading the game 2-0, Team Korea's star player Kim Young-young stepped up her game in the third set and brought the match back to 2-1. But as the Korean players struggled to block their opponents' rapid-fire attacks, the comeback everyone had been hoping for never materialized, and the dream is over. But there may be still a few more medals left for Korea to collect in Rio before the curtain goes down on Sunday. Expectations are high for the women's golf tournament, which begins on Wednesday morning as Korea has 4 of the top 10 female golfers in the world. The list includes Park In-bi, the former world champion who is now ranked 5th, and Kim Se-young, Yang Hee-young, and Chun In-ji. Although Park suffered from a thumb injury earlier this summer, which hindered her training, she says she's ready to go all out at the Olympics, boosting the excitement for Team Korea. Other than golf, Team Korea is also anticipating some big wins and hopefully medals in Korea's national martial art of Taekwondo. Hopes are high as 2 former world champions are representing Korea in Rio. Kim Tae-eun is competing in the men's 58-kilo class, and Kim So-hee is taking part in the women's 49-kilo category, so keep a close eye on them. The first round of men's and women's matches are set to start on Wednesday as well. Now, let's talk about America's Golden Girl, Simone Biles, for a minute. After winning bronze in the beam on Monday, a great achievement but disappointing by the 19-year-old's high standards, Biles proved once again on Tuesday, if anyone doubted, that she is truly matchless in the field. Blowing the crowd away with a nearly perfect routine, Biles won her 4th gold of the Rio Games in the floor event. She scored 15.966, which is almost half a point more than her teammate Alexandra Reisman, who claimed silver. With her previous golds from the team, all-around, and the vault, she's now the first woman gymnast since 1968 to win 4 gold medals at a single Olympics. And finally, I think it's pretty safe to say all of us saw it coming. Usain Bolt cruising through the heats in the 200 meters. The Jamaican sprinting star made it look like a walk in the park, strolling home in a time of 20.28 seconds to go into the semis with the fastest time. Bolt blitzed to gold in the 100 meters on Sunday, and he's eager to add 2 more golds to his Rio medal haul in the 200 meters and the 4x100 relay. That's all from day 11, and here's the schedule for some of the events on Wednesday.
Well, that's all we have for now. We'll have more news for you at 3 p.m. Korea time. That's in a little under 3 hours from now. In the meantime, please stay tuned to Arirang TV. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.